So I want to thank everybody for being here today. Obviously, this is something that I feel needs to be done more often, but I want to thank first Jackie and Aspen for putting something on like this and hosting this and putting this on year after year. It's our second year, and obviously it's getting bigger each year, which is awesome. But I want to thank everybody that's in the room too. You guys are dedicating an entire morning or this evening, those people that are going to dedicate this evening to coming and bettering yourself. And it's not bettering yourself in the sense of I can go home and say I'm a good person now. It's bettering yourself so you can be a better person for your career, your family, your spouse, whoever it is. You're making a better impact on everyone around you and yourself. So, my presentation today, I will warn everyone I have ADHD and I move. So if I'm moving too much, tell me to slow down, tell me to stand still. I probably won't listen, but I'll try. And also with that, I tend to ramble on some of my topics. And I also appreciate feedback. I'm going to pick on people in the audience, not anybody directly, I know some people. But I want to hear feedback. I'm not a clinician, I'm not a counselor, my career is fire, I'm a gun fireman that has a medical license. But I have information, I have experience. That's why I want to preach this to other people, is so you can take my experience and not repeat it. So what we'll talk about today is obviously the stigma, as our name, Break The Stigma, the environment we live in and the culture we've lived in for however many years, depending on what your career is. So, a little bit about Break The Stigma. So, we're committed to revolutionizing mental health support for first responders. What we do, financial assistance for first responders. When I say financial assistance, we don't just cover co-pays and things like that. We look at all of those avenues and the barriers of financials for people getting treatment, or if you're going to inpatient treatment, which I did. We'll get into that too. But plane tickets, child care, dog care, grass cutting, house cleaning, things while you're gone. Things you don't think about until you're 1,000 miles away. We try to take those barriers out. On top of that, we have our own resource network. I'm very proud of the clinicians we have. They are great clinicians, but they are not the only clinicians. It doesn't mean they're a perfect fit. So we are an option, but we're not the only option. We collaborate with many other clinical teams. We try to build the network where we have select individuals that we refer to directly, but we work with other clinical teams to make sure that everyone has an option and a good option for them. Education and training, obviously, we're standing here today, it's an education, coming from a dull environment, take what you can out of it. But we also go around, we do in-house education. We go into firehouses, ambulance bases, dispatch centers, police stations, whatever it is. Police, you haven't quite jumped into yet because they're a whole different great person. I don't think a police officer wants a fireman to walk in the front door and say, hey, let me tell you why you're screwed up. But public speaking engagements today, coaching and guidance. So when we do coaching, we help people that are coming inpatient, post-treatment, they're coming out of that hard time. Me and my clinicians try to help them navigate what life is going to be like now. Because life sucked before you left, you leave for inpatient care, guess what? Life keeps going where you're going. When you come back, you have to meld yourself back into that. So we try to help people navigate those things. We also guide different administrations on how to set up mental health policies and things along those lines to help their districts function better on the mental health aspect. We build community, we have events, we have hikes, we have different fundraisers. Our fundraisers are not just meant to keep our charity going, they are meant to bring people together, have conversation, like-minded individuals, more first responders, family and community around us that supports us. And we support first responders, obviously, but we also support their families. We try to do what we can for the families because, as you'll hear in my story, my family took the brunt of what I went through, and they have to deal with that now. And I have to deal with the things that I did today. All right, so my first question, kind of my icebreaker, and nobody has to yell it out, I'll just have hands raised. This is something that I like to point out as a perspective right off the bat. So years of service, whether you're a fireman, a police officer, EMS, dispatch, who in here has 0 to 5 years on the job? 5 to 10? 10 to 20? 20 plus? All right, the importance of that. If I stick the individual that has 1 year of service at the same table with somebody with 30 years on, are you going to have the same conversation about mental health? Because you probably are in a completely different culture than what we are now, which is great because our culture is changing. We are starting to recognize these things, but it still makes it difficult because that 20-year veteran is going to tell you to suck it up, don't talk to me, tie your boots, and get back to work, which I agree with to an extent. But there are times and places where we have to recognize that we work a job that causes issues. And we have to recognize those issues. Also with that, your years on the job, how comfortable are you talking about it? When I say comfortable, how comfortable are you talking about it with your peers? Is the guy that's on probation going to go to his captain that's been on 25 years and say, hey man, I can't handle that last call, I don't know how to do this? Because the first thing he's going to think is, I'm going to get shit kicked because I can't handle what I'm doing. Well, it's what you signed up for. Well, it is. Doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. We have the mentality to help people. We're terrible at helping ourselves. Okay, a little bit about me. Firefighter, paramedic, over 13 years. Been anywhere from volunteer to part-time to full-time EMS on an ambulance to full-time fire. I currently work on with a district that does both, so I still am one of those weird people. I actually enjoy being on an ambulance. I left a full-time pumper job to go back to an ambulance. I still been on a fire truck occasionally. I do enjoy both sides of it. With that, being at that 14-year mark, I have that weird where I came into it. I came in under captains and lieutenants and chiefs that are probably now retired, but I came in on that old culture. Now I'm training new people, and it's weird because I have a whole different mindset. So I have to do the cultural experience I had in the beginning of my career and try not to screw up with new people. Because we're going to do a good job of that. So through my experiences in the front lines of seeing firsthand the full job to take on mental health, that's why I founded Break The Stigma Inc. Currently have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I'll be done with my master's in psychology in about 4 months. I really have no plan with that. It was just wanted to do it. I'm never going to leave the fire service. I absolutely love it. But with my degree, some of my papers and thesis and things like that, I've been on proactive preventative mental health care, not what we do after shit hits the fan. Shouldn't be an afterthought, should be a priority. So, a little bit of why I'm here, where Break The Stigma came from, and why I think this is super important. So, this first picture up here was November of 2022. We just had our firstborn, my first daughter. We had tons and tons of issues having our firstborn, which plays into my story a little bit, because we all talk about our crisis and what was that moment. The number one question I was going to ask is, what was the breaking point? What call was it? Couldn't tell you. There was no call that sucked versus the other. We had those. But I had shit going on at home. I had shit going on at work. All of these things were collaborating together to screw me up. And what did I do? I buried that shit down as deep as I could bury it, and eventually it came back out. So, this picture right here was April of 2023. There's a significant difference in my appearance, if you can't tell. I went from 210 pounds in that first picture to 148 in a matter of, 5-6 months. That was my firstborn daughter. I was actually happy in that picture at the moment because at the moment in time that picture was taken, my wife had left me and took our kid because she was terrified of me. She was absolutely terrified of me. The reason she was terrified of me, and a lot of what I talk about with my crisis, is the fact that I went so far off the deep end before I actually got help that these main things I talk about here. People think about disassociation. We don't realize that is a collaborative thing of trauma exposure over a long period of time. I still didn't agree with it until I had multiple doctors tell me this is what's wrong with me. I got diagnosed bipolar, I got diagnosed with all of these different. I have acronyms past my name that make zero sense in every diagnosis in every book. The DSM-5 loves me. But I disassociated. In those 5 months, I can recall about 2 weeks of it. Not because I was abusing substances, don't get me wrong, we'll get into that, that was part of it. But I had zero recollection of 95% of what I did. I have to live this entire story through third person. I have to hear about my wife's experience through her mouth, which is absolutely terrible. And people tell me all the time, it's great, you don't remember any of it, you don't have to deal with it. No, it's terrible, because guess what? I have little pieces, I hear stories, and then I have to fill in the blanks. What does our brain do with the blanks? Does it make good memories? Does it make good stories? No. Worst case scenario falls in between all of those. So that took me a long time after treatment, and I still work with it now, where I have flashbacks of shit that I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if it happened, but I have to tell myself, is it real or is it not? Or do I move past it? I will tell you, just move past it. It's part of you. It doesn't define you, it's just part of you. So obviously depression, went through lots and lots of depression. The other significancy of this photo right here with depression, I tried to commit suicide that night. My wife came and took my daughter back because she was not living with me at the time. Went to my garage and I cut my wrists. Luckily, I was unsuccessful. That was one of 2 attempts. I OD'd once on prescription meds, and then cut my wrists. There was a 3rd attempt, well, ideation attempt, whatever you want to call it, where I sat in the parking lot for about an hour with a gun in my head. And the only reason I didn't pull the trigger was because my phone was sitting on my steering wheel, and it was a picture of my daughter. And all I kept reminding myself was, my brain was telling me she's better off without me. But we fought and fought and fought for our firstborn daughter. And I was going to leave her consciously. I thought it was a benefit. Subconsciously, I knew she needed me. I'm glad my subconscious was stronger than my conscious in that moment. So, before all this happened, you would have never really thought anything was wrong with me. I was just a normal individual in the fire service. We're all screwed up, and we all do the things we do. The problem is, after I got treated and started understanding some of these signs, I was like, God, I've been screwed up for like 15 fucking years. Sorry if I cuss, if I offend anybody, I apologize. But I didn't know. I didn't see all those signs. I didn't know those things were even real. We're told it. Our therapists tell us, our friends tell us, we know the signs, we read the articles, we go to these classes, we go to these conferences, but we never listen to it until shit hits the fan, and all of a sudden it's prominent right there in front of your brain. Let's make it prominent without the crisis. So the other thing, we'll talk about these 2. So addiction and alcohol. I hate the word addiction. And I'll explain why I hate the word addiction. I was told I was an alcoholic and an addict. That's what my counselors called me, that's what my doctors called me. Until I finally had a really good counselor when I came back and he said, you were never addicted to substances. You had a substance abuse problem, yes, but it was your solution to your problems. That's how you fixed your problems, was numbing yourself with substances. And then all of a sudden it caused more problems because it's not a good way to cope. The problem was with my substances, and as we all probably aware, you drink a little bit, you feel better, do that for a week, doesn't work as well anymore, drink a little more, drink a little more, next thing you know, you're leaving work with a fifth of Jameson in your cup holder at 7:30 in the morning, and it's gone by the time you get home. Your wife finds you passed out on the kitchen floor at about 2 in the afternoon, wakes you up, and you go to the gas station to get more. That's what my life was. I drank, and I drank, and I drank. The issue that came with that was, as I drank, it didn't do the job it needed to do anymore. So then I started doing other substances, things that I will not always admit to, but they made me feel better, and I was willing to ignore the consequence to get rid of the pain I was in. And then on top of it, I had this wonderful psychiatrist that prescribed me all kinds of benzos. And I don't know if anybody takes benzos, but if you mix with alcohol, you forget about everything. So what did I do? Started abusing my benzos. I will tell you post-treatment, once I got the shit straight, and somebody told me straight to my face, like, you're screwed up, you need to get help. And I did that. I've been sober for almost 3 years, 0 prescriptions. Thank you. More of just a statement of, like, it's possible. But I didn't even have the urge to go back to drink. I realized, and that's why when I got this counselor when I came back, he's retired now, he was awesome. He told me that all the time. He's like, you never talk about drinking, you never talk about this. It's never an issue. Because I only drank to hide and numb what I was feeling. But we ignored that. And who here in the fire service, first responder, EMS, dispatcher, is drinking part of our culture? Is it the norm? If you have a bad shift, what's the first thing you and your crew go do? Drink. So, I'm not saying that's bad. I still go to bars with buddies. I love to go have a good time too. I just don't drink with them. I just know that what my drinking can lead to. I'm not opposed to other people drinking. Go for it. As long as you can control it, I can. I know that. So I choose not to. So the big part of my story too that I like to touch on is I think we all probably experience this in some way, shape, or form. But when it gets to this point is when it's the issue. It's always an issue. This is when it gets bad. The rage attacks. Everybody talks about being angry. Everybody talks about raging out. Rage attacks, in my definition of what I experienced, was blind rage, seeing red. The consequences to your actions did not matter, and you were willing to hurt anyone you loved because you were angry. To put it in perspective, I put up multiple doors off hinges. I busted a windshield out of my truck. My wife had been detained twice so she could get out of the house because I was so irate. She didn't know what I was capable of. Now my wife explains to me, I know you love me. I know you would never hurt me. But seeing you in that condition, I don't know what you're capable of because that's not my husband. That was somebody I've never met before. And I have to live that now through her. And I have to, in it, she told me that one time she detained me, she was putting our daughter in the pumpkin seat. Now, mind you, my daughter is only a few months old at this point. In the car, she said I was over the top of her. And she thought she was going to die because of the things I was saying when I was screaming. I look back and I'm like, I don't even know I'm capable of something like that. I wouldn't touch them. I would never. I don't want to brag. I'm a pretty good dad now. I love my kids to death. I got 2 girls, and they are my pride and joy, and they're 100% daddy's girls. And I love them. But I couldn't imagine going back and picturing myself where my wife thought I was going to kill them because of untreated mental health issues. She had to go through all of that because I refused to admit I had a problem. Not everybody in the world, not everybody in the first responder world is going to get to this extreme. But there's a likelihood that you're going to know somebody that doesn't. You're going to know a couple people that do. Everybody in this room could get through their entire career and never have an issue. I hope to God that's the case. But what if it's not? Let's do something about it. Let's prevent it. Let's be proactive. Let's change crisis. We're never going to fix mental health. I'm not here to tell you it's a cure to mental health. We're all going to screw up the rest of our lives. I'll tell you that. We're not going to fix that. But can we make it better? Can we make it sustainable? Can we make it to where we're not dealing with the crises, the suicides, the lost families, things like that? So I didn't touch that last picture. That was pre or post Maryland. If anybody's familiar with Maryland Center of Excellence, requiring EMS, awesome experience. A little bit of my life outside of everything I did when I got back, but they definitely put me back on the right track. And I didn't really have an option. My wife drove me to the airport, kicked my ass out, and said, "Go and don't come back unless you're fixed." So I'm back with my wife. We have 2 daughters now. Our second daughter was born shortly after I got back. Don't do the math because I understand. I'll call her Lucy. But it was not good timing. But we love her to death, and she gets to have a new, better version of her own father. So, what not taking care of your mental health will cost you? Who here is thinking in their head, man, my copay is $50. The hospital says $300. I go to Maryland, I'm talking $50,000. I'm not talking about that. Financials is one thing, we can make that work. How many of us know somebody that's divorced, lost contact with their families, but chose a career over their family, or just went home every night and was the person I was, and your wife finally hired her and says, "So you get up, don't bother coming back." How many families have been destroyed just because we don't acknowledge we have a problem? We picked a career that we're knowingly exposing ourselves to things the general public will never experience. And then we act like it's not going to affect us. It's a terrible culture environment and mentality. Why do we do that? Because it's what we've always been told. So how many families have we lost? How many relationships have we destroyed? I burned a lot of bridges before I went to Maryland. And I would say about 50% of those stayed burned. Not by choice. I tried to come back and make my amends. I did my part, but there was people that would not forgive me for the things I did. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I hope they would forgive me one day. But I did my part for myself, and I tried to make amends. I tried to do what I needed to do to recover those relationships. But there's relationships that I will never have again, including the best man in my life. Won't even talk to me because of the things that happened. But I have to accept that. My father-in-law, weirdly enough, I have a good relationship with him now. But weirdly enough, one of the hardest conversations I ever had, going through all this, and I vividly remember this one because I think it just hits so hard, was my father-in-law, which, unlike most people, I had a really good relationship with my father-in-law. We get along really well. He never had a son, so I like to think I'm the son he never had. But one day on the phone, I was irate, drunk, before I got detained another time. But he on the phone goes, "You're nothing but a no-good drunk. Quit calling." That hit hard. This was a man I looked up to that I thought we had a very positive relationship, And he just tells me flat out, you're a no good drunk. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Quit calling me. And I have to live with that. We joke about it now. Well, maybe. I tried. I'm still too soon. As you can tell, I'm an older boy. Your physical health. People don't realize, I didn't realize, when your mental health declines, your physical health goes with it. There is not a mentally unhealthy person that has the epitome of perfect health. I was to the point, my blood pressure was through the roof, my thyroid shut down. I was in the hospital once because they thought I had a stroke. My vision went, and they literally correlated all back to the stress response. My stress response was just locked in, and my body couldn't keep up. I went into SVT like 6 times. I had one time driving a fire truck. I pulled over. I can't drive anymore. I can't see straight because my heart rate's 200. I had no cardiac issues. They did all of this tests. Nothing. Everything's perfectly healthy. I'm like, oh, you're good. I haven't had any of those issues since I got myself straight. But it's a lot of work. Your emotional health, duh, kind of goes hand in hand. But when I say emotional health, I'm not talking about happy-go-lucky, feeling happy, feeling sad, feeling joy. The ability to regulate your emotions. The ability to understand what it's like to feel joy and happiness versus sad and anger. We're really good at burying the negative emotions. But what I always preach to people is you bury those negative emotions far enough and long enough, you can't pick and choose. Guess what goes with it? All of the other emotions. You don't get to choose, I only get to feel happy. I would love that to be the case, but it's not. So one of the things, and I'll tie it back into the emotional side. Now, mind you, we just got this daughter, lots of issues. I'm changing her background one day, and I'm sitting there. My wife comes in, she's looking at me. I looked at her and said, I don't feel anything for my kid. I know I should love this kid. This was our goal. This was what we wanted. And I looked at her and I truly felt nothing. I didn't care. I didn't have any love. And then I looked at my wife and told her the same thing. And it's nothing against them. I explained to her, I said, you didn't do anything. I just don't have the ability to care anymore or to feel anything. I don't feel joy, I don't feel happiness, I don't feel love. But guess what? I also don't feel sadness, I don't feel anger. None of it's there. So I threw away all of my emotional being to get rid of the pain I was feeling, which meant I got rid of all of the good things, which would have helped guide me through some of it. It took a lot of work to get all that back. This one was suggested to be put back in. This is where I differ. I love being a fireman. I'll never leave it. I think it's the greatest job in the world. You'll make friends that you'll never lose, and it's a career that is not like nothing else. Take care of yourself to save yourself and your family. Your career should be on the back. Yes, keep your career healthy. But if you don't have a healthy you and a healthy family, what the hell do you have? I get to go to work for the next 25 years. After that, what do I got? If I throw my entire family away, or I throw everything I have at home or outside of work away because I refuse to take care of myself, then what good was it having a healthy career? And believe me, you're not going to do both. This whole saying of keep home at home, work at work, keep them separate, bullshit. You know how to do it, let me know. Anybody know how to do that? You have a bad day at home, kids piss you off when you go to work, do you just forget about it when you get to work? No. You got to keep both places healthy and happy, or neither of them will thrive. Your identity. How many of us in here, when we meet somebody new, you say, hey, I'm Mike, I'm a firefighter. Or, hey, I'm a police officer. Some people don't, but it is something. We're proud of who we are. But it is not our sole identity. If I can introduce myself and not have people just walk away from me, I'd be, hey, I'm Mike, I'm a firefighter, I'm a paramedic, I run a charity, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I have 2 kids, I have 20 identities. And I'm proud of each one as much as any of the next. But if I lose one of them, I don't lose everything. But if you don't take care of your mental health, in my case, family was gone, career was on the line, being a father was on the line, none of that. It was all slowly degrading away. If I lose my job, but I still have my family, am I good? Yeah, we'll figure it out. I have what I need. But where I was at, not taking care of myself, it was all gone. My identity was gone. I was Mike. the PTS-stricken, depressed, suicidal individual that sits in the corner all day and drinks. That was my identity. Your meaning and purpose. Tie into your identity. We all live life for a meaning and purpose. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to do nothing today. I'm not going to make my life better. I'm not going to make somebody else's life better. I have days where I get up and say, I'm not doing anything today. But that's for my own benefit, and we all do it. But nobody wakes up in the morning and mentally says, I'm just going to be done today. I'm going to just not do a thing. We get out of bed for a reason. Whether it's your job, whether it's your family. Hopefully it's all of those things. But we get out of bed for a reason. You don't take care of your mental health, guess what? Your meaning and purpose starts to degrade. You start losing your identity. Your career falls apart. You lose your job. There goes an identity. There goes a meaning and purpose, a reason to get out of bed. Your wife leaves. You're no longer a spouse. Guess what? You lost that meaning and purpose. 6 kids with you. You're not a father anymore. You think my wife, if I would have got help, would have gave me custody of my kids if we would have got divorced? You think she would have left the kids in my care at any point in time, knowing what she experienced? Not a chance. Off myself there. But you lose each one, and you have to have a meaning and purpose to get out of that. And if you don't take care of your mental health, you lose all of those meaning and purposes. And then you just get worse. Shouldn't use yours, Jackie. Financial security. I also tag that one in there because it is important, because how many of us stress about money? Especially now. Money is hard to come by. But for me, I was blowing my wife shut her bank accounts down and moved all her money to a different account. Because she's like, I'm not beating you, but you're spending more money. You got bills to pay. You got house payment, you got newborn, you got car payments. She goes, you're going out spending her money like girls on the streets. She goes, you know how much you make, and you spend 10 times that. So you do lose the ability to financially secure yourself, which adds more stress, which then takes more toll on you. And at the end of the day, we don't take care of ourselves. What's it going to cost you? Everything. All of those things. And then worse, your life. You walk away with nothing. You're 6 feet under. That's it. Because you didn't address any of these other things. You lost all of those things into the ultimate sacrifice. All because you refuse to admit we have a profession that requires us to be exposed to traumatic experiences on a regular basis. And that culture tells you, don't say anything, just bury it as far as you can. So we've been doing it wrong. How many families have we lost? How many relationships have we destroyed? How many retirements we're not enjoying? Sergeant Luke, I appreciate your story, and I think you did a really good job when you're sitting in here. But retirement, when we think about it, what's the average lifespan of a first responder post-retirement? It's down to like 4 years now. We work, is that 5 minutes or 5 years? Okay. How many lives did we lose? I don't got like halfway through. You sure you're cutting? What can we do? How we view our mental health. I'm just going to pull all this up so we can go fast. Mental injuries versus physical injuries. How many of us, if you broke your arm, are you going to hide it from your employer or your friends? You're going to go do something about it. How many of you have a mental injury? Are you going to hide that like no other? You're not going to tell nobody. You're going to deal with that on your own. What's the difference? They both attack your health. Why do we not treat mental health the same way as physical? There's mental injuries just as much as physical injuries. Treating mental health is all or nothing. When I say that, I mean we don't address it and treat it until we're at the all-in. And that's why I get into this next one. Stage 2, 3, and 4. I look at it as any other physical disease. If you have stage 1 heart disease, stage 1 cancer, stage 1 whatever, are you going to ignore it until it is stage 4? if you have stage 1 mental health issues, are you going to ignore it until stage 4? Probably. Most of us do. Stage 1 and 2, my opinion, super easy to deal with. None of it's easy, but when I say deal with it, treatments are lighter. Usually seeing a counselor, doing some group stuff, whatever it is, whatever works for you, finding how to do better self-care. You get into stage 3 and 4, it's not that simple anymore. Going to talk to somebody once a month is not going to help you through where you're at because you've let it go so long. Now we're to the point where you're going to need more in-depth treatment. Just like if you wait till cancer stage 3 and 4, it's more invasive, it's more aggressive. And stage 4, just like any other disease of mental health, it's terminal. You wait till stage 4, there is those small percentages, just like any other stage 4, that we can fix you. But guess what? People will look at mental health as terminal when you let it go too long. But guess what? It is. Because what's the terminal stage? Suicide. Point of no return. On stage 4, people think, when can I not come back from my mental health crisis? I will say the only place people can get where you don't come back from it is 6 feet under. You can be at rock bottom with a shovel, been there, and still get back. But if you end up 6 feet under, there ain't no coming back from that. Let's not wait till stage 4. You would have killed the wrong person. This one came from Maryland, and I always use it because I think it speaks volumes on the guy that told it to us. He was working out there, he was recovering alcoholic, part of the staff out there, and we were having a group one night and told us the story. He goes, he was suicidal one night, called his sponsor, and said, I'm going to kill myself. And the sponsor said, you're going to kill the wrong person. He goes, how does that work? And you kill the wrong person. One. And then he explained it, and it makes perfect sense. You kill that person that night. You also kill the person you'll be in 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, 60 years. You get rid of every future version of yourself in that one split moment. If I would have been successful that night, I would not be standing here having this conversation. I would not have a successful non-charity. I would not have 2 kids at home. I would not have a wife. I would not have a happy, fulfilling life. Because of one night, I made a decision that killed every version of myself in the future. So, easy questions. I just threw these in there. My co-host on our podcast always says this, and I love it. When we talk about asking a peer what's going on, and when you say how it's going, how many people would say it's great and just keep walking? What do you do when that person says it's not going great? Generally, you say, okay, keep walking. So, 2 easy questions that he always asks people when I'm good at dumping on him, and I tell him all the time things going on, and he always responds, do you need to talk about it, or you want to do something about it? Do you just need a shoulder and an ear, or do you need help? Those are 2 drastically different answers. And if I say I need help, if I tell him I need help, he's going to have to call somebody else. He's going to really call me. But we're going to do something about it. We're going to find you help. You're just trying to vent? Cool, I'm here. I'll listen. I might not have any good advice, but I'll listen. How far am I off of time? Okay. Prepare your mindset. When I talk prevention and proactivity, a mindset is being prepared for traumatic experiences that is going to happen to you. You can sit here and tell me all day, I'll never go on that bad fall in 30 years. Well, guess what? It'll probably be tomorrow. Being prepared before the unexpected, big and small, not after it happens. Why do we wait until shit hits the fan to figure out what we're going to do about it? How many of us, I'm firing us, I'll pick on firing us, how many of us train constantly on protocols, procedures, ways to do things, medical treatments? Our tag's up there, I don't even want to know what they're doing anymore. But do we train on those things? Because there's a likelihood it'll never happen. But what happens when it does? Do you want to figure it out then? Same thing with mental health. Why do we wait until shit hits the fan to figure it out? There's ways we can take care of ourselves now. There's tools, there's tricks, there's skills. There's things we can do every day to prepare ourselves. And guess what? They may not benefit you, but when shit hits the fan, you're not trying to figure it out. You're already trained in how to do it. Your brain knows how to handle it. You know your skills. You know your tips. You know your tricks. You know how to handle what's coming. Unexpected, big and small. That's what trauma is. Unexpected events that attack our identity, our meaning, our purpose. Future stress and trauma are inevitable. Big thing I always tell people, what is your expectation? And I mean that in a broad statement. Every moment of your life, you have an expectation of what's going to happen next. When you have a conversation with somebody, you have an argument with your wife, you're driving a car, whatever, you have an expectation of what all of those other people are going to do. And where do we set our expectations? Here. We expect everyone to do everything exactly how we want them to do it. Guess what? They have a mind of their own, and their own expectations. What do we control out of that? We control what effort we put into those situations. We control how we prepare for those situations. We control the attitude we go into those situations with. We control our own integrity. Are we going to be the person we want to be? And how we respond to that situation is fully in our control. What do we not control? Other people. We don't get any say in what they think or do. We can help manipulate, but at the end of the day, they're going to make their decision. The outcomes of situations. How many of us have run that bad call and you did everything right, and it still was a shitty outcome? Because we don't really have control. We can manipulate the outcome by doing everything we're trained to do, but that doesn't mean we're going to change the outcome. Public opinion. When I say that, I mean peers, friends, family, coworkers, whatever. We don't get to choose what they think about us. How we get to manipulate that? Integrity. How we respond to situations. All the things you can control are going to frame the public's opinion of yourself. Are you a good person? That's up for the rest of the world to decide for themselves. It's up to you to decide for yourself. What we don't control also, unexpected events. Going back to that. I talk about this in one of my other presentations. What do you see in the mirror at the end of the day? When you look in the mirror after a long day, and you're looking back at yourself, are you proud of who you see in that mirror? I'm not saying because you saw, cured cancer and solved world poverty, but did you spend your day being the best version of yourself? Holding your integrity high, holding your standards high, keeping yourself accountable. When you look in the mirror, do you see that person? There was a point in my life when I looked in the mirror, I hated the person I seen. I hated mirrors because I didn't want to see the dead in my eyes. I go home at night now and I look in the mirror and I reflect my entire day. Is there good parts? Is there bad parts? Of course, every day is good. Day is perfect. But I can say I did everything in my control to make sure this was the best version of myself that day. So these are just tips and skills. I won't read through all of them because I know we're on a time crunch. If people want to take pictures, these are just things I've learned to help myself with. There are thousands of options out there, and half of these may not work for you, some of them will. You got to find what works for you, and you got to find somebody that knows how to do it. Because I remember the first time someone told me to meditate, I laughed. I was like, I haven't sat still in 32 years. You're going to tell me to sit still now? It's not going to happen. I'm a regular meditator now because I have to learn how to do it, and I love it. There's a lot of different things. Biggest one I will touch on though, exercise. You have to take care of your physical health too. And I'm not saying go to the gym, run a marathon, go for a walk. That's it. Nobody realizes how much just going for a walk each day helps. Even if it's just like from the firehouse. My station I'm at, I just got moved. The station I was at, I had a parking lot with like 8 spots in it. That was it. And I walked circles for an hour. Because it was just beneficial to me. It's that repetitive movement. It's that movement. It's getting the heart rate up. It's burning off energy. We all have way too much energy. And we have all these things to get us going in the palm of our hands, and we don't burn off any of that energy. So, a few options. Not anything that is groundbreaking by any means. So, I wasn't asked to bring conclusion here, but things that you do that you found successful. I learned more in these conversations by talking to the audiences than I can learn in any book. I've gotten ideas from people from conferences and lectures and things where I'm like, I don't follow that. That's great. I literally stick them in my lectures. So, strength isn't about being unbreakable. Nobody is going to be unbreakable. It's about being adaptable. It's about being able to change your response to the unexpected. Mental health identity doesn't define us, guides us. Just because you have PTSD, just because you have depression, just because you have anxiety, it's not an acronym after your name. It's a medical problem. So we address it, we fix it. It doesn't define who we are. Just because you have cancer, I actually went to Maryland with a cancer survivor because I used to tell people I'm so-and-so, I'm a cancer survivor. Because he identified as a cancer survivor. He made that his identity. And then he realized how terrible that was. It's an awesome thing, don't get me wrong. Proud that he was able to get through it. But why keep living in that? If you're diagnosed with PTSD or anxiety, do you go up to people and say, hey, I'm not anxiety? No, nobody cares. I mean, they care, but nobody cares about that being your identity. It's part of you. Use it. Grow with it. Figure out how to address it. It's the best version of yourself. Would you be embarrassed to talk about other medical diagnoses with your friends and family? You got diagnosed with heart disease or cancer. Would you be embarrassed to tell them? No, you would want their support. What's the difference? You have a mental health problem. If you go tell them, is it embarrassing? No, it's part of life. Life sucks sometimes. Sometimes we just need somebody to help us. Yeah, medical diagnosis, not accurate. We'll skip the leadership stuff unless people really want to dive into what I think about leadership. It's great. Essentially, just know what your role is, informal and formal as a leader. You get to help determine the culture within your district, your department, your precinct, your dispatch center, whatever it is. You get to control all that to an extent. It still takes buy-in from both sides. But if my chief doesn't agree with mental health policy, how am I going to take care of other people with mental health issues if I can't get the people that make the decisions on board? So you have a say. Don't be afraid to admit you have problems, because we all do. Still on leadership, which one here, reactive leader, proactive leader. Obviously they don't speak for themselves. So at the end of the day, it's all about the best version of you. Your family deserves it. You deserve it. Your friends deserve it. Your career deserves it. But one selfish decision to take care of yourself will make you the most selfish version of yourself. Take the time to be selfish and take care of you so you can selfishly take care of everyone else. My little ask, the survey is separate than anything else for today. This is strictly my survey. I put it in all my presentations. I want full honest feedback. Tell me it sucks. Tell me you hate me. I don't care. It will make me cry a little bit at night, but I'll get over it. But it helps me build these presentations to be better and more impactful. And like that, I'm better.
Thank you, Mike. All right, friends, we have a break coming here in just a second. But what I'd like to do, actually, what Jackie would like for me to do here is I mentioned earlier the vendors. I'm going to go through the vendors here. If you have some time during a break, go ahead and visit those tables. But as I call off the vendors here, if you would just stand up and wave or do jumping jacks or shout, I don't care. You can be creative there. Just going down the list here. Provident Behavioral Health. Right back here. Okay, a good wave back there. First Responder Provider Network.